Roger, I'm not sure in terms of your perspective on the best ICOs or what's happening and whether you feel comfortable to answer that.
I think the most important thing is really separating the hype from the real underlying value. I look at one of the great stories that I've seen is the one on Mark Cuban, right? So Mark Cuban was like a massively outspoken critic against all cryptocurrencies. He's like saying the whole thing's a scam, don't get involved. And then because he has some gaming companies, and a gaming company called Unicorn comes along to him and says, look, we've actually got a token, which is called Unicorn Gold, where we've got all these people that actually want to support us, and up to now, we might have gone and done a crowdfunding campaign to raise a bit of money for our next project. Like, we want to actually go out now and actually create this cryptocurrency which allows them to get credits that they can use in any of our projects. Then that way we've got all these different projects we can do. And for the first time, we really understood the value of a cryptocurrency, because he goes, I can totally see why all of your people would love to have those coins and then be able to use them. And effectively, they're funding your future, right? You're capitalizing your future without having to go through US dollars, and you're doing it in a way that actually means there's zero tax. It means that all of your community are really happy to be here, and of course they're going to support you as well. A VC can give you money, but it doesn't mean they're going to buy your product. But by these guys actually fundamentally like buying your future and then actually spending it, that's perfect. So suddenly he became a cryptocurrency advocate, and he's done the same now for a number more social companies and tech companies as well, where it's about specifically the ones that are best for them. So there is no like, what are the three best, which is like some kind of objective idea. It's about you knowing for yourself, what are you most interested in, what are the companies that you trust most that you want to be supporting, and then you're going to find your three best, right? So I know for me personally, the cryptocurrencies that I find most interesting is Wealthy Coin, for one, because we actually have Wealth Migrate on our platform. We actually listed our company via Wealth Migrate, so we know the power of that. I know a second one is our own company, where we actually have got our Genius dollars within our GeniusU platform, where we have 700,000 entrepreneurs that all are looking to have a currency they can trade with each other, fundamentally to create their own universal basic income. And I know that a third one is yet to come up, but I'll be looking for it, right? Because it's going to be something that's going to be somewhere around my three values, which is all around entrepreneurship, environment, and education. So it'll be in one of those three areas. But it's about setting the criteria of what is it that actually is right for you. Tim Draper, who is another convert from Silicon Valley, one of the best investors there, he says, every single decision I make about what ICO I get involved in is based on three things, right? The first thing is it has to be by answering the question, what's the good this is going to do in the world? Like, what's the mission that this company has? What's the purpose of this company that's going to make me think I want to support that? The second way is, how is it going to disrupt society for the better? Like, what's the actual structure that's going to actually shift so I can see the value in what this coin or what this token is going to do, is the second thing, right? And then it says on the third one that if you've got the first one, which is here's the mission, right? And the second one, which is here's the structure, then the third one is there a network or community behind this already that wants to actually support this, so I'm not the first one to come in. And people aren't coming in because they're speculators who just want to sell the moment they're making a profit, but they're people that actually see the long-term value in the business, and that's basically the key thing. It all comes down to criteria, and everyone in this room, if you don't yet have a criteria, the last thing you should do is take an expert's advice and go and invest in it. You've got to start by creating your own criteria, and then going out there and starting to do your own homework on it as well.
David, I wonder if you can answer the next two questions, as in what's happening in regulation, and someone said, you said blockchain's going to take 10 to 20 years, so what's holding it back? Because I think they're probably tied together.
The third token that you may want to look at is the network society token, obviously. The wealthy token, the genius token, and the network society token, where we will reward people learning about the skills they need to design their lives as on-ramp, adopting technologies like wealthy that they can actionably understand, right? And also, I want to remark and reiterate something that Roger just said. The hype surrounding an ICO project not only doesn't necessarily correlate with its ultimate success, it may indicate that it could be more likely to fail. What matters more is not the amount of money that a project raises. What matters more is their capacity to execute a network value and support it in time with people who individually want to participate. and that use the token then to achieve their desire to participate. And as investors, we do not evaluate the success of our investment in equity and tokens of projects by the amount that is raised by the ICO, because that is so, much correlated with the market sentiment, with how much you are spanning the world, and so many other things that don't matter, and so little correlated with the long-term success of the project and as a consequence of the token. So back to your question. So the large countries, Russia, China, and the US, are in absolute panic to the point where they have all criminalized, to a certain degree, cryptocurrencies. I have people who I know personally who fled China because they would have been arrested because they operated typically at the interfaces between the traditional world and the crypto world. America criminalized owning a certain type of mathematical object called the petro, issued by Venezuela. And if you are an American resident, it is a criminal offense to own and operate those mathematical operations that we call petro. And Russia was very proud of only needing the signature of Putin to outlaw Bitcoin overall, which they didn't because they realized that you cannot outlaw math. Now, will some countries go too far? They may, at least on a temporary basis. During the Arab Spring, for example, the Egyptian government, fearing to lose with the revolution banging on their doors, turned off the internet because the kids on the streets were coordinating using Twitter and Facebook, and they wanted to stop that. And 48 hours later, they turned it back on. They realized that the risk of the revolution winning, which ultimately it did, was lower than the cost of not being able to use the internet. Because the government couldn't work, the port couldn't work, trade wasn't happening, international banking wasn't happening. And blockchain is going to be the same. It has a viral, unstoppable quality that is literally infecting interoperably all kinds of unexpected areas, and it is going to be impossible to take it out once it is in. Now, regulators are going to do what regulators ought to do. They will issue regulations. And there is already a planetary chess game of jurisdictional arbitrage being played, where it is not the largest country that wins, it is the nimblest and the leanest and the smartest regulation that wins. And smaller countries are more likely to be able to enact that. Switzerland, Singapore, Gibraltar, Malta are leading this kind of analysis and implementation. And the blockchain community is following that kind of global flux, moving around people, projects, and capital in a manner that is unprecedented, very, very rapidly, and also not in a non-correlated manner. The project can be headquartered someplace, and the people can be all over the world, or the people can also move whatever they want. It is really beautiful. Now, this is already happening. It's not that this is not already happening. There are incredible day-to-day applications, just like I started with AI, of the blockchain as well. I receive a large number of investment and advisor opportunities every day, literally from all over the world. And there are incredible things happening. AI companies using the mining infrastructure to democratize the training of neural networks. New ways of empowering non-geographical, non-exclusive political participation in a global basis. Identity, intellectual property, DNA ownership by the individual rather than in an exploitative, centralized manner by the pharmaceutical industry. All these things are already happening as we speak. So during the next 10 and 20 years, what is going to happen? All the things that we don't even have idea about, just would be even incomprehensible to us today. When the internet was started, it was all about email, and that was it, nothing else. Today we are using the internet for online collaboration, video conferencing, all kinds of applications that were practically impossible to anticipate back then. So with the blockchain, it will be the same. That is why doing it is so important, because it is almost impossible to predict it. Just doing it, that is what can make it both real and sustainable through discovery.
Right.